Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Good day again, viewers, and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. Bonjour encore tout le monde qui a écouté le programme ça là, Agricole en Mouvement. Bienvenue. Again, I want to stress on people who are not aware that the marketing board is opened for business. Farmers are happy that they can go to the depot in Angers, in Otsa, and sell their produce. The consumers are happy, the outlet in Castries is open and they can go in there, especially now moving to Easter. They can get all the vegetables and ground provisions at marketing board at an affordable price under new management. So it is reopened, not to be closed as was said, it was just for readjustments for new management. Today I have a very interesting gentleman with me. There were supposed to be two of them. But unfortunately, only one was able to make it, Mr. Keigan Mayers. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
Keigan, boy, I know this program is so interesting, and it's long overdue in the sense that the drudgery in agriculture, is no more. People have been talking about agriculture. Young people don't want to come into agriculture. Right. Oh, there's too much hard work, the hot sun, I have to use a fork or hoe, and not understanding. We have new technology in agriculture, and that keeps evolving.
Yeah, it does.
Okay? Before we get into that, who is Keigan Mayers?
Right, okay. You asked the most difficult question first. I thought you were going to ask the easy ones. I'm a young man, grew up in La Clery.
Okay.
I am the youngest of 3 siblings, and I just always had a love for either fixing things or most likely solving problems, I should say.
You do mash it up, right?
That's what I started with. So everything I got, you get a new toy. Here's a new thing, play with it, I destroy it, see how it works. And try and put it back together. Yeah. So I've always loved solving problems and finding out how things worked. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up in technology.
All right.
So I got certified in IT. So I'm actually a certified network technician.
Wow.
I love doing networking. I love working with computers. I was moving into computer security, and then I wanted to do something that actually created a greater impact. Mm-hmm. And it seemed a bit laudable goal, but I just wanted to ensure that what I did meant something to people that went further on.
Okay.
My mom actually has heart disease, so her diet is always an issue. Mm-hmm. And she has always struggled with getting the right foods. And so that became the problem that I wanted to solve.
Okay.
So I wanted to be able to feed her.
All right.
And agriculture, when I started it, I fell in love with it, and yeah, I just couldn't get enough of it.
Wow. Okay. So where are you at now? What gave you the idea of going into smart greenhouse production of vegetables?
Right. That started, funny enough, I started with a farmer in Roseau, the late Phillip Sydney. He was actually a mentor of mine.
He was my farmer when I was the regional supervisor there.
So it started with him, and he was just then the St. government and ICA were in. They were just putting together this greenhouse.
Right.
Protective farming certification. Mm-hmm. So when I started with him, he was like, you know what, maybe you should go to Mexico. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. Okay. So I went across there.
Oh, you went to Mexico?
I went to Mexico.
Okay.
And happily enough, I met the Jamaica Greenhouse Growers Association, their technical director. He was there. And then we would spend night after night discussing how we can propel agriculture forward.
Oh, wow.
So we were exchanging ideas, and we came up with this idea. We realized one of the greater limitations, especially fruiting crops, was temperature.
Right.
And so we were like, if we could dial this down, our production would be so much greater, because we have the comparative advantage, basically producing along the equatorial region. We have the best sun, the best soils. So our food are highly nutritious, but that temperature factor was a big issue. So we dealt with a group out of New Zealand, we dealt with a group out of Almera, Spain. And it took a while before everyone figured out what we were trying to achieve. Because everyone's initial response was use fans, do passive cooling, and we kept saying, no, it doesn't work. Because, you know, if it's nighttime here and it's, say, 25 degrees outside, your greenhouse is not going, even if you had fans, extracting fans, your greenhouse is not going to get any cooler than 25 degrees. So we needed an active cooling system. So we drew up the plans. We discussed in detail over a couple of years going by, and I had something that I wanted to do.
Wow.
I had it dialed in. I knew how it was going to work, and I knew what I was going to achieve with it. I just needed a way to get it done.
Wow. Okay. So where are you at now? Because I know that okay, you have land.
Yes.
Okay. And where is that land situated?
In Babonneau.
In Babonneau.
Yeah.
All right. How much land do you have there?
I have 4 acres.
4 acres. Yeah. All right. What are your intentions with that 4 acres of land using that technology?
Right. So, wonderful. When we came about last year, we worked on an accelerator program, and we started developing this idea a bit more, fine-tuning it a bit more, especially the technology aspect of it. And then we took that, and then we went to the Global Environmental Facility, GEF, and we made the proposal. They funded us, so we were able to access funding up to $50,000 to actually do a greenhouse. So we were building it from scratch. We were building my design. Yeah, everything had to go in, and it was a tough ask, I know, because you were basically using science that was proven, but technology that wasn't. It hadn't been done.
Okay.
So you were asking someone to back something that scientifically it says it could work, but we just never saw it happen before.
And you're trusted?
Yes.
But before you get to that, what's interesting, Jade Hutchinson,
yes.
How that marriage started? Who is he and what?
Jade.
Yes.
Jade and I went to SMC together, went to secondary school together, and Jade was an industrial designer. And actually, another friend of ours, a schoolmate of ours, brought him to my farm. He's like, yo, you know, he's getting great vegetables here. You should come up one of these days. So they came up to my farm. So they were asking me, how do you do this better? How do you do it bigger? You know, because they were like, you know, we want organic food. We want what you're producing, but how do you do it better? So we sat down that afternoon while we were discussing it. And it's like, that's a really great idea. So then he said, would you be interested if we could collaborate? I told him, sure. Okay. And I had developed, over the years in doing, I was farming for about 4 years, about 3 years then. And I developed a system to solve one of the problems that we had here in St. Lucia. I called it the One Market Initiative, because one of the larger problems that we had was the disconnect between the producer and the consumer. Right. So you have, you know, either surplus or there's just none, you know. So I wanted to fix that disconnect. So I wanted to use technology. I wanted to use information to fix that disconnect, so that the farmers knew what the consumers wanted, when they wanted it. The consumers equally knew what the farmers had and when it would be available. Right. I felt that could help to adjust price and production, so we could make better economic use of our land. So that idea was sitting in a book for about a year and a half. So I told him we could collaborate on this.
Is it the same system that I just saw something on television with SLHTA and the farmers? I don't know.
They were trying to develop a similar system. Okay. And they were using, I don't want to say antiquated technology, but they were definitely trying their best to do that connect. Right. I wanted it a bit further. Okay. So what we wanted to do was any possible consumer. So whether it be, say, like marketing board, a distributor, or any of the distributors that we have on island, right. Even down to a single household consumer. Right. Can get involved in that market, because all of those people affect basically food imports. Right. So the more information that we have in this, the better decisions that we can make going forward. Great. And so we started going ahead to develop that. And then I went back a little further and I said, okay, so if my consumers want something, my farmers need to know how to produce that thing. That's correct. So how do I help my farmers produce that thing that the consumers want? On that note, we're taking a break. Sure thing. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? Or
All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
Welcome back. Keigan, you joined forces with Jade.
Yes.
Okay. You all approached Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff decided to trust you all.
Yeah, they did. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You said you started from scratch in building that greenhouse.
Yes.
Material, the structural design,
Yes.
that was your idea. Where did material
Yes.
from? Yeah?
Yeah. I decided to use lumber. I wanted to use something that was available.
So you
to farmers.
so using lumber?
Lumber, yeah.
Ah, okay.
So we're using lumber. There was, I will admit, we're borrowing ideas that have happened elsewhere.
Right.
So there was an FAO project where in India where they were using lumber to sort of do some makeshift sort of protective agricultural structures. And as that has improved over the years, some people have tried, like, what if I can build a greenhouse? How long can it stand and what returns can I make off of it? So on an average greenhouse, of course it's expensive and you're thinking about 7 years and then you can make your return. So then you're in the black. So I was bold enough to say, okay, no problem. Let me see if I can cut that in half.
Okay.
So because if you use the technology and you're using the protective agriculture, right, and you can boost your yields, you can pay it back sooner because you're producing more so you're getting more per square meter basically. So came up with it to use the wood. I knew the plastics that we were going to use. I knew how I was going to affix the plastic to the wood, because like you said, the technology is there, and so the question is, how do we marry those things to get a solution that works for us?
Okay.
So we started going ahead, working with existing materials to see how we can get it cheaper.
Okay. Because, okay, let's go back to the tunnel shaped
Yes.
ones, okay?
Right.
After a while, they decide, look, it's not the best.
Yeah.
Because towards the edge, you have wasted space.
Yes, you do.
So they decide to push it up.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's
we'll
just a cover.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not, in other words, it's not a greenhouse.
No, it's pretty much just a wind tunnel.
Oh, yes,
basically,
okay.
yeah.
So tell me about yours. Looking at the Mexican type greenhouse.
Right.
Okay, you just use one
chamber
area,
of those.
one chamber.
Yes.
How is that in relation to what you are doing?
It is actually rather similar,
Okay.
because one of the things we needed to create was a ventilated greenhouse.
All right.
Because one of the problems you have with those wind tunnels is that the heat gets trapped.
Yes.
And then, so even when
Rises.
especially when you have crops that grow tall, like tomatoes that
Yes.
can grow something about 30 feet.
Yeah, that's the indeterminate type.
Yeah, indeterminate types. Heat stress is a big problem at the top
At
of
the
the
top.
canopy.
Right.
So how do you alleviate that heat? So you need to ventilate that out. So the roof is offset.
Correct.
Now, there are two schools of thought when it comes to that. One is to put the vent towards the prevailing wind. That is supposed to reduce the heat by about 90%, about 95%. The other is to put it against the prevailing wind, so it works like a wind foil and the hot air gets sucked out.
Yeah, because hot air rises.
Right.
Yes.
And that should take about 80% of the wind. Because we're in the tropics and get really strong winds, I chose the second one. So the wind goes over, the hot air rises, and it gets pulled out because of the difference in pressure.
Okay.
So that part is similar.
Okay.
And then we're coming down with the plastic. And then, but you have to seal it because we want to do active
Correct.
cooling.
Yes.
So I started looking for systems to seal. So we're using one that's an inflatable vent. It's a poly vent system. So it's the same sort of greenhouse plastic, but it's in sort of like bubbles.
Ah, okay.
So that gets inflated to seal the sides
Wow.
and the top of the greenhouse when we need to.
Okay.
So we're going to do that. So now you have your antiviral netting at all your vents. You have your plastic coming down, then you have your vents along the sides and at the top.
Okay. So what are you doing? Are you doing soilless or are you doing for production?
Oh, I love the soil, so I'm going into the soil. Yes,
Okay.
and the soil starts the basis of our health actually starts in the soil.
Okay.
You know, because you're talking about your nutrients, and so instead of starting to do something that's completely artificial, my thing was how to just make a better soil. So let's continue to improve and use organic means to improve that soil. Because once that soil is healthy, the plant is healthy, and then the food becomes healthier.
Okay. So you're going organic?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it totally organic?
No, we're doing a balance.
A balance, okay.
Yes. We're doing we're the entire care of the plant is organic. Since the pest control, the disease control, that's all organic.
Fertilization?
We're using a fertigation system, and we're using one that's blended. So we're using fertilizers that have the water soluble, they don't have any chlorine, they're made from organic means, and they have supplemental minerals. Okay. So it's supplemental ions, and then we're obviously filling the soil with more organic content as we go on.
Wow.
So we continue to. So the hope is that that natural balance that happens, you continue adding organic matter to the point where your fertilization becomes almost non-important.
Zero.
Yeah. So we'll just use the irrigation.
Okay. Where are you at now? Is it up and running?
Well, the greenhouse is we're completing the covering today.
Okay.
The greenhouse today, and then we're starting seed germination today as well. This week as well.
Okay. So prior to that, you did not do any experiment to actually see results that you should be seeing results in that new facility?
In it, no. But what I did was experiment outside.
Okay.
So the only condition that we do not have an actual baseline for is right now the temperature control.
All right.
So I did everything that I'm doing now inside the greenhouse. I've done it outside the greenhouse, and I've gotten extremely good production from it. Wow. So now it's with the amendments that we're making, say in the temperature control. Truth be told, we're looking at something like about 150% bump in production, but that's what we want to bring to show that technology can work.
The cost of the greenhouse vis-a-vis, say, one bay of the Mexican greenhouse.
Right. So those I did. I remember the first time I wanted one. That's what I was looking for, and I can get the quotation I got for one bay was 34,000 euro. Okay. So that would be basically, let's just roughly say about $150,000. So we're taking that same $150,000, we're adding solar, we're adding AC, and we're adding the vents.
Wow.
So you get a more bang for your buck, actually, with what we're doing.
Okay. So you have gotten all your material, everything?
Yes, we got.
Okay. When is your goal? When are you starting?
We want to start production seeds normally take me about 2.5 weeks. So in the next 2.5 weeks, production should start. Okay,
great. Okay, let us look at we'll do for a break. I was told we're moving fast and furious. I'm so excited about this thing, you won't believe it. We'll be back soon. Stay tuned.
Everyone is at risk for getting a foodborne illness. While most foodborne illness cases are mild and go unreported, long-term health complications and even death can occur from a foodborne illness. Foodborne illnesses are caused by contamination of food at any stage of preparation. If you are a food handler involved in home-based food production, meat, fish, chicken, or a big shop, as a food vendor, how you prepare food can put your customers at risk. Do you know the risks and how to avoid them? The St. Lucia Bureau of Standards can help you.
For more information, contact the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards at 456-0546 or email slbs@candw.lc or visit the website at www.slbs.org.lc. St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, making quality and standards our way of life.
Welcome back. Keigan, I'm so excited about this program. You know, I want to tell people that when you're up and running, I'm just starting a new TV program, which is an on-the-field program, looking at success stories, okay? And I would happy come to your farm and to take a walk through
Oh, we'd be
and
happy
to
to have
tell
you.
St. Lucian, to show St. Lucians how this operates. That I want to do, so we will definitely be liaising in that regard. Okay, I was told this technology is high tech, all right?
Yeah.
Take us through that process. You have planted, you go into what, tomatoes?
The first crop is cherry tomatoes, yes.
Cherry tomatoes,
Yes.
okay. You planted the cherry tomatoes, you have everything on. Tell us about how that app works from your telephone standpoint,
Okay,
your cell phone.
So here you are, you've planted everything, and you have your sensors are in. So you have a soil sensor that's checking your nutrient level. It's checking the EC content of the soil, basically. Then you have the sensors also checking your water. It's checking the oxygen and carbon levels at that soil, at that level at the soil, and it's checking light. Then you have a sensor in the air as well. That one is checking your humidity, your temperature. It's also checking light. CO2 movement is very important. So that sensor is doing that work as well.
Wow.
Now that information gets fed back to the farmer. So the farmers now, you get up in the morning, and you open the app, and now you can actually see what your farm looks like at this point in the morning, and what needs to happen. So we're going with tomatoes. Tomatoes, if the transpiration is, say, at a mean, you're looking at about 1,500 cc's of water for the day. So if the app is looking at you and lets you know that, okay, your soil moisture is below this, you know how much you need to irrigate.
Correct.
So you can do one of two things. One, you can, if you have a manual system, you manually go and you put your irrigation on. If you have, say, a solenoid valve, you can say, okay, go ahead and water for me.
By the press of a button?
Yes, and you choose the interval in which you want to. So you just planted, so now you want short and frequent waterings. So you can start going, say, 15 minutes, shut off the drip, let it go for about 45, and give me another 15 minutes to go ahead. So all of that can work out, and it will stop once it reaches the required level. So it will not over irrigate for you.
Okay.
And even if you decide to manual, it will alert you when the soil reaches its optimal, so it will stop.
Okay.
But because you have your soil and your air sensors as well, and you have to account for increased transpiration, you have a high energy day, a lot of sun coming through, and you have to now compensate for your increased transpiration, so your plants are uptaking more water. You get another alert letting you know that transpiration is high.
Wow.
And then you have a weather system as well, so you have a small weather station. So there's a bit of prediction in going. So the weather station knows you're going to have a high energy day because you have a situation where there's almost no clouds, no cloud cover.
Right.
Okay, and it's predicting what its outside temperature is like already. Your inside temperature, you know what your CO2 levels and your humidity. So now the app translates that data in helping to predict what transpiration and respiration will be like. So it'll give you slight water adjustments. So whereas you would say, all things being equal, 1,500 cc's for the day, your app will be telling you, no, you actually need about 1,700.
Wow.
To keep the plant in its optimal state.
Okay. Light, photosynthesis.
Yes.
You have a cloudy day.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know exactly how much light does the cherry tomato require to manufacture food so that the output will be to your fruit?
Yes, there's an actual pause. There's an additional light meter with, the sensor that's in the air. The light sensor on this one actually measures the pause. So it's measuring the light that's required for photosynthesis.
Right.
So it's letting you know if you're within your optimal range. So we're looking at tomatoes. So we're looking at somewhere from 550 to 700 parts that are needed for that plant. So now you would know when you have low energy days.
All right.
Because you have a lot of cloud cover.
Correct.
At this point, we're not installing the grow lights.
Oh, okay.
But it's one of the things that we want to do because we do have situations, I've even had them where we've had a week of very low energy days. It's just been cloud cover for an entire week. And you know that dealing with the plants, 48 hours is okay. The plant will bounce back quickly.
Right.
But if you have a week and your pods are very low, then you're going to have very low production.
So definitely at that point you need light.
You need light, in the greenhouse.
Okay, great. Pest and disease management.
Yes.
Okay, it's totally enclosed.
Yes.
So in terms of pest and disease management, that would be almost minimal, right?
It brings it down. It does bring it down. And the rest of the farm, but you still have the rest of your environment. But again, it's all organic controls going all the way through.
Okay.
So it has the antiviral netting. You will be using the organics. And the idea, with one of the things that I learned the hard way with using organic controls is that it's not a knockout. Like, the toxic pesticides. It's a situation where it's a management system that you have to plan out.
Right.
So you have to manage the area around where you're growing, not just your plants.
Okay.
So since the rest of the farm is continuing going to be within the organic control system, we're still going to have our same practices, reducing the influx of any problems. In the soil side, same thing. Healthy soil keeps away a lot of pests. Okay. So you keep doing that balance of that organic matter and any other additives that are needed. Like I use neem to take care of nematodes. Right. For those root knots, and that has worked incredibly well.
Have you not? Do you think of getting heat, steam control for nematodes? Yes.
Well, that was one of the things that I was contemplating when I was still out in the open doing it, and because I had a serious problem with them. And while I was researching, I came across using the neem, and I had a couple of gallons of 100% cold pressed neem oil, and it turned out I would need 500 ml of that to 400 gallons of water. Whoa. And I just go for my drip irrigation. And I would do that every 10 days. I did that every 10 days for 2 months, and I never had the nematode problem again. Wow. So it so that same place that I had that huge problem, I had to uproot the crop, and go over.
And then put in
I was able to go with tomatoes. It was bell peppers then. So I was able to go with another nightshade, something that's even more susceptible to the nematodes.
Yes,
and it worked out wonderfully.
Wow. Keigan boy, you're revolutionizing agriculture in Lucia, man. Like we say it, you're sexing it up.
Well,
so
we
you
try.
can really, by doing so, you are actually encouraging young persons to come in, because right now everybody's into IT. You know? So we're moving into our last minute. Can you tell us anything you'd like to say to the public, to young people out there, and your last words?
Wow. I really want people to start changing how they view agriculture. I think as a nation, we need to have a bit of a shift in our mindset towards agriculture. It's nothing to look down on. Actually, we should look towards it. I mean, people eat every day. We need to eat every day. It's still the largest global industry, over $3 trillion from the sale of food alone. Yes. The ancillary industries are even greater than that. So the future actually is there. And marrying agriculture and technology, I think we're marrying one of the two greatest industries that we have currently. So I think people should start looking more to that. So I'm hoping that we can get more young people involved. And one of the things we want to do is train. So as soon as we're up and running, we want to start actually inviting people to come see, and so they can see how it works and they can understand it. So we're looking forward to that.
So our food security has to be intact.
Yes.
Our nutrition security has to be intact.
That's a big one as well.
And this is very, very big. And at the end of the day, we're looking at lowering our food import bill.
Yes.
That's very important. Keigan, thank you for being here. Boy, I wish you success.
Thank you very much.
Trust me, I'll be monitoring that. Because we need to let St. Lucians know, the young people know what's happening. Thank you for viewing, people. We've been watching Agriculture on the Move. We have had with me Keigan Mayers, young entrepreneur, farmer / what do you call it? You said you
technician.
Technician.
Yeah, you can do that.
I know you can do it. It's very interesting. As he said, what is more important to me and the ministry, he's prepared to train you. For our youth agri-entrepreneurship program, yes, it's available to you. Agriculture is our business, and eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I'm Phillip Sydney. Goodbye. Comrade.
Thanks.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.